Okay, hi everybody. Now we've activated the recording. So thanks for joining us. We do have a number of people here on the live call today, and I know several of you asked for a copy of the recording, so we've gone ahead and done that. I'm going to, as I was saying, my name is Emily Anderson, and I am with FranNet. I do business development for the West Coast, and I have the pleasure of working with clients here locally in Oregon, and we are hosting what I believe is our first MomPreneurs webinar, which is very, very near and dear to my heart. So if you have any questions, again, please type them into the chat box. I'll facilitate the Q&A at the end so all of the presenters have time to speak. And I just want to give you a high-level overview and really jump in so you can hear from our presenters. So as I was saying before, for those of you that are connected with me on LinkedIn or you get my e-newsletters, you're probably most familiar with me in terms of this image. But there are some other hats that I wear that I want to share with you. Is in addition to being a franchise consultant, I'm a mom. This is my little guy. This is us on Mother's Day. And this is my favorite. This is my whole family. I've got a 20-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I'm happily married. This is my the favorite hat that I get to wear. And this is another hat that I get to wear. And if you're on the call today, my guess is you probably wear a lot of hats too. And what I am hoping we can accomplish together today is exploring some options where we, as women, as moms, as people who are maybe career-driven, would like to or need to earn an income and really need that time and energy and flexibility for our families, where can we find some type of congruence in our lives so our pictures are not so, where they could just be a little bit more connected. So what I want to talk to you about today is business ownership. I will say for myself, I have started my own business. I have worked in corporate America. I have worked at a high-tech Silicon Valley startup. Me personally, the only professional arena where I have been able to find some life-work balance, not work-life balance, but life-work balance, is actually in the franchise industry. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal experience, but I don't want you to hear it from me. I want you to hear it from the others, so then we'll jump in. So a little bit about the franchise industry is, what if there is a career option out there that provides a lot of choices? You can choose between a home-based business, an office business. You can have a storefront. Or a little-known fact is there are business models set up where the owner is semi-passive. And we're going to hear from that type of example today, where really as the owner of the business, you are managing the manager. You're not working in the business all day, every day. If you're looking at being a business owner as a possible avenue for having some control, flexibility, and financial security, franchise ownership is, in my opinion, kind of a cross between starting a business and buying a business. You're buying the right to own and operate a proven business that you get to start on your own. And as a franchisee, you get to replicate that business, you get to scale it and grow it on your terms. Generally, you have more predictability than if you were to start a business on your own. It's quicker ramp up, and you have more funding options. And as a woman, one of the things that I like best about it is I get to be in business for myself and not by myself. So I have autonomy, freedom, and control. I also have an enormous amount of support from the franchisor and other franchisees. So I'm going to spell this out a little bit more. And when I'm talking about franchises, by the way, I'm not talking about slinging French fries. I'm not talking about the $5 footlong or supersizing America, as you're going to find out when we hear from our presenters today. But when you get into franchise ownership, what we're essentially getting is we're getting a business system. The system is already put into place. It includes marketing, accounting, sales, and operations. We get trained on how to use the system initially and ongoing. And then, like I said before, we have that support from the franchisor and franchisees in other areas that are executing the exact same system, where we get to learn and grow and support one another as much or as little as we really want. So who is FranNet? FranNet is itself a franchise. We've been around for 29 years. We've got national partnerships with government agencies, and we're really the matchmakers. So what I get to do, and my colleagues who I'll introduce you to at the end, is we get to help you identify if business ownership could be right for you and which business is. What we do is we're matchmakers. We have an online profile, and everyone on today's call can get access to that online profile. Here's an example. It's an 11-page report that will empower you and your franchise consultant to figure out which businesses could be your best match, and we do this for free. Why do we do this for free? Because we're paid by the franchise industry essentially to do their prospecting, and we bring them really, really good candidates because we provide you with a lot of education and information so you can make a safe and responsible decision as to whether or not to move forward into business ownership. I'll tell you a little bit more about our profile at the end for anyone who has questions, but I would really like to get started with some of our presenters. So our first presenter today, I would like to introduce you to Breanna Nickila, who is a franchisee with Oasis. Breanna, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you beautifully. Thank you.
Good? Okay, good.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, so I have a business degree from Portland State University, and I grew up with my dad. He started a farmer's insurance business when I was 10, and then I helped him in his office throughout high school. He kind of forced me into that, but I think just growing up with him being a small business owner, his first client was our neighbor. I think by the time I was in high school, I knew I wanted to own my own business. Although I have had plenty of desk jobs up until raising kids, and then I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good deal. Okay, so sorry. The silence throws me off. Sorry. So, yeah, I have a business degree, and then I did stay home for 10 years. I live out on the very east side of Portland, which is just a huge commute for any kind of a decent job in the Portland area. So when I was at the tail end of staying home with the kids as they were approaching probably, I think they're around 8 and 10 at the time. So I was really trying to brainstorm anything I could start on my own out here on the east side of Portland, just because I wanted to avoid a lot of commuting and then having that time taken away from being able to volunteer and be with the kids and be able to pick them up and be home with them when they're sick. And so that's kind of how I was starting to search around for a business. And I definitely didn't want to go back, just working full-time for somebody else, when you have kids and you're trying to be there for them and get them to school on time, it really doesn't. The schedules just don't match up. So yeah, that's how I got to the point where I was starting to look for a business to start. And I did have an idea. So it was a coffee drive-through, which there wasn't many in our town. It was definitely lacking it. So I went to the Small Business Development Center on the east side of Portland in Gresham, and that's where I was introduced to their franchise matching system, which I really lucked out. I was one of the first candidates that did it, and then from there I moved on over to FranNet, and that experience was really great in helping me to be matched to a franchise.
Great.
And so yeah, and then. And should I just keep going on? And so what I thought I would talk about is how I discovered Oasis, which I kind of just described that, my background. And then I was going to just tell you guys how that affects my lifestyle, and then what I like about the franchise I chose, and then to get a little bit more into Oasis. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, that's how. So yeah, I was at home for 10 years, and then so I wanted to start. Coffee drive-through was actually much more expensive than I thought. So that's kind of what landed me in the Small Business Development Center. The startup for that was a little bit it was approaching 400,000, so it was a lot more than I thought. So I went in there, and it kind of slowed me down a little bit, and they're like, hey, if you're open to looking at a franchise, which I did know I absolutely wanted a franchise. I didn't want to start creating something from scratch. And I definitely have no problem following a guideline from somebody. I prefer that. I feel more comfortable with that. So so from there they matched me to, 3 different franchises. I right away went down to 2. And then, so the one thing I like about Oasis, and this is kind of getting into the lifestyle part, I didn't want a job where I was really sitting at a desk all day and looking at a computer screen. I actually wanted one that was kind of like real estate, I guess, like where you're out and about a lot. So so that's kind of why I chose Oasis, because there's so much you really do. I'm really not in the office a whole lot. It doesn't help me to be in the office. So I do have one full office day on Mondays usually, and then from there I'm just out and about. I'm really not chained to a desk or anything. So that's one thing. Not that everybody likes that. So, but that's one thing about them matching me to franchise. There's another one I was looking at that was much more office desk laden. So so that's kind of one reason why I narrowed it down to Oasis. But besides that, another way I like it is the flexibility. I can get the kids to school, and then I make my own appointments, and so I just make sure not to have an appointment too close to like child to kid pickup time. So so I kind of work more of like a 10 to 3, or it kind of depends. It's either 9 to 2 or 10 to 4 kind of day. So I work about a 6-hour day, which I like that. And then I can come home and work evenings or on the weekends if I want to catch up on anything, but it's totally up to me, or I'll wake up early and get something done. But I do like the flexibility of that. I'm kind of one of those ones that's okay with that. I will fill up my schedule. I'll get out of the house. So it just depends on what your personality is and what's better for you motivationally, I think. And then also, let me see. Also, I did want to work full time. So there are with Franet, they did offer more absenteeism kind of jobs. Although I think that 10 years at home was motivation for me to get out there and really work. Like I felt like working. So and I'm still in my 30s, so I feel like I'm still young enough to go out there and try to kill it. So so that was also another fit for me, was the fact that I did want something that was going to give me plenty of work. So so that's kind of how I chose it for my lifestyle. Some things that so I'll just go over what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So the one thing I love about Oasis is that I'm working with seniors, and I'm in the senior industry, which is a blossoming industry right now. And it was a way for me to get into the senior industry without having any kind of a medical background. So I do work with seniors and families. So what I do is I connect them. I match them to any sort of senior housing. So if they need like an assisted living or a memory care unit, anything like that, then I help to match them. It's kind of like being a real estate agent, and matching them to a home. So I kind of do this. It's kind of equivalent to that. So I do get to work with families and seniors. I love it. One thing I don't like about it, though, is when you first start out, is you're basically starting from scratch. You don't have any clients, so it's 100% sales, which I was not used to. Over the last year, I'm a year in with Oasis. Over the last year, I've built up enough business right now to where it's more 80% sales, 20% client work. So, I definitely have been doing a lot of training. I had to get over my learning curve with Oasis, figuring out how to place them and how to give them good customer service. And then I've been doing a lot of sales training, which Oasis has been really good about getting us, the franchisees, plenty of training on sales, just because they were all in the same, boat together. So so that is one thing. It was kind of a rude awakening when you first start out, how much sales you have to do. You have to get out there, make sure you're seeing people, make sure you're getting in front of people, make sure you're introducing yourself because they don't know you're there. But now we're, it's getting a little bit more balanced. I'm kind of hoping to get to the point where we're more 50-50, 50% client work, 50% sales. but of course, with that said, I still have a lot of flexibility. I make my appointments, with my clients when I can, and when it's, when I'm available. And so, and then just a little bit about Oasis. So we do help with families, connecting them to any sort of a variety of senior housing. There's a lot. There's adult care homes. There's independent living. There's mobile home parks, 55-plus communities. So we help a lot of people in the area, and it feels good because we don't get paid for a lot of it, but we're getting a really good reputation. We're helping all kinds of people, low income. It actually, those ones I feel like you get almost more fulfillment out of. They are very appreciative. So, and then of course, on top of that, when I do have a placement, I get a really good fee from the community. They pay us. So our service is free to our clients, which is one thing I like about Oasis. I don't have to ask anybody ever for a visa. I don't ever have to ask anybody to pay me for anything. So I do get a placement fee from the communities, and they're very used to it. We're kind of like an extension to their marketing department. That's kind of how we consider it. So, so in Oasis is growing. There's, I believe, around 40 franchise territories active right now. They're going to grow up to about 200 territories. Portland is a 2-territory city. They're selling off the west side of Portland. It's still open. So if anybody is interested in Oasis on the west side of Portland, please contact you guys, the Franet, and they'll with that whole process. And but if there's anything that you guys have any questions about or anything like that, please let me know.
Oh, Breanna, thank you so much, and congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really been wonderful to watch your whole journey and witness it from afar and hear about your success. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's been a journey, and I have to say it's been great. I feel getting that first year done is a relief, and we're doing well. We're growing, and we're getting busier. So it's been going well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And Breanna, one quick question before we move on to our other presenters, because the rest of the presenters today are representatives or people involved with the franchise business on the franchisor side as opposed to being a franchisee. So being that you have experienced this transition from being a stay-at-home mom for 10 years into business owner, is there any advice or suggestion that you would give to some women that are on the call today that are just in an exploratory stage, just gathering information? What might you say to them, or what do you wish someone had said to you when you were at that stage?
You know what? A good idea is when you're doing your due diligence and you're doing your discovery process. I actually didn't think about asking if I could specifically talk to other franchisee owners that were in the same situation as I was, that had like young kids, and see how they liked the schedule. And when I was talking to Oasis, they to the owners, to Tracy and Tim that run it, I didn't really think to ask them, too much about that. Although I did get a lot of information about what like a typical day would look like, and how you do your scheduling. Like they showed us the calendar and how you put in your appointments and all that. So I kind of knew that. I knew that it was flexible. And actually, even when I was talking to Blair, going through the whole process, he said, yes, this is a flexible business model that would be good for young kids. So, but yeah, it never hurts to ask somebody else that's in the same situation during your discovery.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to move on to our next presenter, Alexis Courtney with Cookie Cutters. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Well, do I need to tell you, do I need to do a little ding for you to move to the next slide? I'm just wondering.
yeah, let's do that. Let's just tell me a little next slide action, and I'll click for you. Do you have a webcam that you'd like to enable, or just go for it as is?
I think we'll just go for it if that's okay.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alexis. I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, and I believe it's, just our luck that all of a sudden for some reason I lost my connection, but I know my business, so I will just move along.
Great.
So anyway, my name's Alexis Courtney. This is also near and dear to my heart. I was actually, my education as a high school math teacher. I was a high school math teacher for 10 years. And then I became a franchisee 10 years ago of Cookie Cutters Haircuts for Kids. And I've been a franchisee for, I was a franchisee for 9 years when the franchisor approached my husband and I and was ready to retire and asked if we were interested in purchasing the franchise, and we decided to do so. The franchise in and of itself has been around for 21 years, and the original owner was very slow growing, and we liked that. We liked knowing that we had a family and support within the franchise industry that we could go to with any problems or any concerns, and we wanted to go ahead and provide that for our franchisees as well, and we feel very strongly that we have been able to do that. So a little bit about our franchise. We are a children's hair salon, and we are in a niche market. So when you take a look at it, you obviously have to be in an area where you are going to have a good number of kids, and we have got a great program, demographics program, that will let us take a look at your area. One of the reasons why it was so interesting to me as a business was because I had a 2-year-old, and although teaching is an absolutely wonderful profession, I found that when I was taking my 2-year-old to school, because I had to have her in daycare, that if there was any type of daycare that was any type of a program at daycare that was going on, I really couldn't leave my job, my school, to go watch whatever program she was in. So I just really wanted to take control of my lifestyle and the hours that I was working. Our model is simplicity at its finest. It's pretty much haircuts and styling. We've tried other different sources of revenue and have found them not to work as well as what we're good at. We're great at haircuts. We cut moving targets all day long, over and over again. We also have 3 different types of merchandise. We find that if you have everything under the sun, how can you possibly say to your client, oh, this is the best hair care product for children if you're selling 20 different hair care products? So we have actually gone out and looked for the 3 best hair care products that you can find. Circle of Friends, that is for very sensitive children that may be allergic to certain types of chemicals. Doesn't have any sulfates. One thing people don't normally know is that even Johnson & Johnson's has sulfates and can dry out the baby's hair and quite often give them cradle caps. We have Original Sprout, which is completely organic, and in fact, it's biodegradable. You could probably eat it, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't taste very good. We have Fairy Tales, which is a lice prevention, which everybody gets completely weirded out about until their child actually has it, and then they're running into our store to get products in order to get rid of the lice. It's just a fact of life. If your kids go to school, there's a strong possibility that they will at some point in time unfortunately get lice, but it's not a problem. We can handle it and take care of it. We sell hairbrushes and some other things. One of the greatest surprises about Cookie Cutters has been our ability to help special needs clients. Because of the atmosphere, there are enough distractions that they can come in and get their hair cut and have it feel comfortable and normal, but it's not overstimulating, and that's something you have to be very careful about for children with special needs. Sometimes if they are in an overstimulating situation, it can go the opposite direction as well. So you just want them to feel as comfortable as they can be. And we train our stylists to understand children with special needs and certain tactics in order to give them a great haircut. We are just incredibly involved in the community. We work a lot with the schools. We work a lot. There's always a free kids magazine, family and kids magazine that goes out there. We do parades. We just do as much as we possibly can to show our support for the community because we're in the business of building self-esteem for children. Head on to the next slide, please. So our environment, we've got an indoor slide. Each chair, each fantasy chair, you see one to the right that's Spider-Man. They get to pick a chair that they sit in, and the slide's in the picture above. And there's a television in front of them that they get to watch a show with. We have bubbles. At the end of their haircut, they get a sucker and a balloon as they walk out. So it's just a fun environment for both children and parents. I currently live in Salt Lake City, Utah. We have some pretty good, strong winters. It's not uncommon for a mom to walk into our store and get their haircut in 15 minutes and then stay for another half an hour so their kid can play on the indoor slide. And we're happy to provide that. Next slide, please. So what makes us different? We do not consider ourselves a haircut salon, and a lot of times people ask us, well, are your competitors Great Clips and Supercuts and Fantastic Sands? They're not. Actually, we have those salons pretty much in every strip mall where we are located. And quite often, if we're in the same strip mall, there's a reason why the stylist has chosen a Great Clips over a Cookie Cutters. They are not comfortable cutting kids' hair. So a lot of times when they'll come into a Great Clips, they'll say, did you know there's a Cookie Cutters just down the street? Because that's really what we're great at. And so we really work hand in hand, and it doesn't seem to be a problem. But we want to make sure that the parents recognize that we're getting the best quality haircut that money can buy. And our haircuts are about $13.95. Sorry about that. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. And so our haircuts are about $13.95. Training, we are continually training. Haircuts, hair care, the emotional needs of children, making sure that all of our stylists understand the environment that they're working in and what the parents are looking for. Once again, we cater to children with all sorts of special needs. Very often we have parents come to us and say, I went and got their haircut somewhere else, and halfway through the haircut, there was a problem. My child was getting upset. It was difficult, and the hairstylist wouldn't finish the haircut, and we just had to walk out. And we never want to have that experience. We will finish that haircut and work with the parents. One thing that I love about loved about Cookie Cutters as a franchisee is that I could really have that work-life balance. You have a manager in there that's running your store. So I still have one store that I run and own. I probably go into that store once every 4 to 6 weeks and check on it. It completely runs itself. Where in the beginning it took some time to get it up and running, and actually I loved being in the store, so the time that I put into it was because I wanted to be there. Really, I could have stepped away from it at any point in time. The main priority of the business owner is just to make sure that the environment is a great feel for parents and for children, but it's a wonderful semi-absentee option. Next slide. So we have two options. You can be an owner, a manager, or you can be semi-absentee. On the right side, I decided to list all of our owners that are women. We are dominant owners in women, but actually the majority of them are husband and wife team. Sorry, I'm just getting some feedback a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, if you are not presenting, if you could please mute your lines, that would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah. So, what's the latest word?
Okay, go ahead, Alexis. That should work. Are you there? Alexis, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. So on the right side are our business owners. Stephanie Hayes is actually in this picture, and that's her husband. Leslie Warner, Mackenzie Berquist, myself, I own a store, and so on and so forth. It's interesting, the fifth one down, Cookie Shelton, she was actually the founder, and that's the reason why we're called Cookie Cutters, is because her first name was Cookie. But this is a fabulous, fabulous business for women that want to get back in the workforce, whether they are single or whether they are married, because they just have the ability and the time to work basically when they choose, and to have a semi-absentee option. So extremely friendly for women, and I think we're a wonderful franchise for any mompreneurs out there. Next slide, please.
Wendy, I'm not happy about it.
And
So
again,
total investment.
Alexis, if you could hold on just a second. For those of you on the webinar, you can mute your own line by pressing *6. So if you all could press *6 to mute your line so we could hear the presenter, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Alexis, let's try it again.
Okay. Okay. There we go. That's always so fun with technology, right? There's always something that goes wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So initial investment, we're finding that pretty much across the board, you can get a cookie cutters open for under $100,000, and then we suggest about $20,000 to $30,000 in working capital. We have found quite often that works absolutely wonderfully, and many times you don't use that amount of money. The last 3 stores that we've opened, and on average our stores break even at about month 6, which is very positive. You have to recognize that, let's say you open in August and it's back to school and everybody is getting their hair cut. Well, after you cut everybody's hair, they're not going to need another haircut for 6 weeks. So then you've got to go out there and find other clients to build that clientele. So really, truly in our concept, the first 6 months is clientele building, and then you're in a really strong place where you're having reoccurring haircuts. And then it just also shows the investment, everything that's included. We really work hard to provide the opportunity for all of our franchisees to have contact with both my husband and I, and then Christy, who is our Vice President of Operations and helps with the build out of the store. We want every franchisee to feel that they have a family behind them and that we're in this together, and we want to see them succeed. So if you have any interest in cookie cutters, we'd love to talk to you, and we just feel that it's a wonderful option for business ownership, especially for women. So I think there's one last slide. Maybe not. Maybe I'm done.
No. Yeah, thank you so much, Alexis. And for those of you that have questions for Alexis, I know we're holding them till the end, but feel free to type them in now while they're fresh on your mind, and we can direct them to Alexis toward the end. So our last presenter, Drew with Tutor Doctor. Drew, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Excellent. Well, glad to be here, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to everybody about Tutor Doctor. With us, so just to kind of give you a quick snapshot, we're kind of similar to FranNet in the sense that we're like a tutor matchmaking service for children of all ages and really students of all ages. Most of our business is in the K through 12 market, but we also do a lot of business with adults who have gone back to school. So our whole, the niche that we have carved out, we solve a really simple problem through a fairly simple business model that we have made very streamlined through technology. And ultimately what we've been able to do is figure out a way to help franchisees run this business from their home, which offers a tremendous amount of flexibility to the owners. And we've seen that a lot of moms have, whether it's a mother who is leaving the corporate world because they're tired of the corporate life and the travel and the commutes and being away from the family, and they want something that can provide a business they can build to make what they want, but it also enables a lot of flexibility during the day so they can be more present with the family. Or if the kids have kind of grown up and they're more self-sufficient, it's time for the mom to want to get back into the career world, then Tutor Doctor is a great fit because it still enables them to maintain a lot of flexibility, and there's a huge market for what we do in that we help kids and we help them achieve their academic goal, both from a remedial standpoint and an enrichment standpoint. And we do that by matching tutors with them that we screen, we qualify, we background check, and then we'll match them based on their personality and their academic needs. So we've been featured on a lot of international publications, and we're actually an international company. We have about 250 franchisees here in the U.S. with room for plenty of additional growth, but we have about 450 total around the world. And so we have a strong presence in the U.S., Canada, the U.K., a rapidly growing presence in Australia, South Africa, and throughout Latin America. So we're an international company, which gives us a lot of advantages just to be operating in different education systems around the world. So on that note, I will flip over to the next slide and talk to you a little bit about our philosophy that guides everything that we do, and our whole principle around why we exist and why we do what we do and how we do it is because we believe that everyone can learn, but not everyone learns the same way, especially when we're talking about kids in today's public education system in the U.S. We all know it's not necessarily where it needs to be, and the teachers, there's a growing ratio of students to teachers. Teachers are overworked, they're under-resourced, curriculum's changing, and unfortunately, if our education system forces the children to adapt to the classroom environment and to the teacher's teaching style, whereas a lot of students, they learn individually, and they might not adapt to that classroom-based environment, or they might not have the confidence to raise their hand and ask a question for whatever it may be. So what we're able to do, which is really cool, is because we're able to work with students on a one-to-one basis, we tailor all of the content and the materials that the student wants to learn or needs to learn. We tailor that, when I say we, the tutor does this, through to their individual learning style that we identify as part of our overall process, which I'll talk to you about on the next slide. So when a customer, and I'll flip to the next slide if you don't mind.
Okay.
When the thing, so our whole process starts with a parent contacting us. We're going to go out and we're going to do a consultation. And when I say we, this is typically the franchisee. And the franchisee controls how many consultations they do every week, when those consultations take place. So there's a lot of control that our owners have over their schedule. But it all starts with the free consultation with us. When we're going to go out, we're going to get to know what's happening in the situation, get to know the student, understand their personality, talk to the parents, understand what's going on, what their frustrations may be, and ultimately just get the information around the situation. But most importantly, we do a learning style assessment that helps us identify what that student's preferred learning style is. And we use all that information to then match them with the tutor if they want to enroll with us. And that's the secret sauce in our business, is the match between the tutor and the student. That's what we do better than anybody else. So we spend more time doing than anybody else. We're really good at recruiting tutors. We're really good at screening tutors. So we know how to recruit the best of the best and then match them the right way with the right students. And sometimes it's not just about the academic need of the student. It comes down to the personality. And trying to match them with a tutor that's going to help tap into their motivation and connect with them, to then inspire them to get a little bit more motivated to put forth some more effort in a subject that they might be struggling with, and to help build their confidence. And the coolest thing is, we literally a lot of times are the last resort that parents have turned to try to get help for their kids. And we're able to help those kids because everything's one-to-one. Everything's in-home, and everything, we're just able to adapt everything to the student's needs, and that's what we're all about, is tailoring everything around what the student needs, which can deliver some pretty cool results. After, once we match the tutor with the student, that's when the tutor takes over and they work directly with the families. They coordinate everything. There's not a lot that runs through the franchisee after that match has taken place, other than the franchisee just kind of checking in and doing some basic support with the tutor and the customers, every month or so, as the tutor works with the student. So that's a little bit about our process, and flip it over to the next slide, please. We get a lot of questions, so who do you work with? We think of us, we work with any child of any age on any subject, and any adult on any subject. We have a lot of requests for if an adult goes back to school to get a secondary degree, and they're struggling in a certain course, they're going to contact us, and we're going to match them with a tutor. And we can do everything that we do for about the same price that somebody would pay to either find a tutor on their own, or if it's a child, take their son or daughter to a Kumon or a learning center. So we offer a very premium level service at a very affordable price. And we're able to do that because we don't have any overhead. And I'll talk to you about our Big Apple operating system here in a sec. But the math, science, English, languages, test prep is the biggest, fastest growing segment for us here in the U.S. So the ACT and the SAT test prep, it's big business. They keep changing the tests every year. It creates a lot of uncertainty. Now all of a sudden the colleges and universities are putting a lot of pressure on on these students to get good grades. on these tests to be able to get accepted. And the thing with ultimately what's driving a lot of demand for our business and this idea of the private, professionalized private tutoring is that there's more demand than there is supply right now in the U.S. for the college and university market, meaning that there's more students applying for a limited number of seats. And ultimately that's why we see tuition prices increasing, because the colleges and the universities, there's more demand, and they can increase the prices because of it. But ultimately, it creates a really competitive situation for students these days. And so the trickle down is where parents are paying much more attention to not only the SAT and ACT scores, but also earlier in their child's academic career, they want to make sure that they are preparing their children to be in the best possible position to get into the college or university they want. So what we're seeing is that about 50% of our business is from a remedial standpoint, where we are helping a student to catch up in a certain subject or class. But 50% of it's also enrichment, where the parents want us to work with their children to help challenge them and push them so that they are even more prepared when it comes time to apply for colleges and universities. So a little bit of what's going on in the industry. Flip it over to the next slide, please, if you don't mind. Here's just a quick snapshot about our presence around the world and some of the different countries that we operate within. And it's cool, we have all these internal chat boards where we literally have franchisees. So the big thing in our market right now is this idea of online tutoring and virtual tutoring. And it's not a huge piece of what we do right now. 5 years from now, it's going to be a significant piece of what we do. We've embraced it. We're ready for it. We actually have an app right now. It's kind of like the Uber for tutoring, where parents can use the Tutor Doctor app to go online through this app, find a tutor that's comfortable doing virtual tutoring, and sign up right then and there, and then match their son or daughter to do the tutoring via Skype. It's that simple. We do a lot of virtual tutoring internationally for students who might be in the UK that might be coming to the US to get into the college and universities. They need to be prepared for the ACT and SAT. So it's opening up a lot of interesting opportunities for us, and us being an international company, we're able to take advantage of them. So that's a little bit about our international presence. On the next slide, please. Yes, this is a picture. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about who makes a great franchisee for us. The name of the game in our business is people skills. Right? So we look for franchisees they come from, all of our franchisees come from all walks of life and background, and there's no specific profession that people tend to come out of. Most of our franchisees don't have a background in education, and a lot of times we prefer that, because as long as they have, number one, they're motivated. Number two, they're looking for a business that makes a difference and works with kids. And number three, that's a business that offers a tremendous amount of flexibility in the day-to-day life. We can give them, the business model sets up really well for that. And literally this business can be built or scaled to where people can make it what they want. They can start on a full-time basis. They can start on a semi-absentee basis by bringing in staff. We have people who are building $1 million businesses. We have people building $100,000 businesses. It's all about what this business is all about, aligning it with what somebody wants to achieve down the road and get out of their business. So it's an interesting aspect of what we do, and we embrace it, in terms of what people want to build. We're going to help them build a business that aligns with the goals they want to have. And this is a picture here of Tutor Doctor franchisees on President's Circle, where we take franchisees from around the world who achieve a certain level of sales. Out of a calendar year, we'll take them on a nice cruise or a nice vacation with the president and the board members to somewhere exotic. And here you see there's the group of franchisees that made it from a couple years ago. So on the next slide, please. A little bit about our culture and values. You're going to, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Tutor Doctor, we have a whole process we can take you through, and part of it's talking to franchisees. And you're going to get a sense that this company has a very strong culture. And it's about a culture of making a difference and doing things the right way. But we're also progressive in that we're not sitting back accepting the status quo that, hey, we're just a K through 12 tutoring company. This idea of having an app that is like the Uber of tutoring that matches tutors with students to do virtual tutoring. I mean, that's an example of the progression that we embrace as a company. And ultimately, a lot of this innovation comes from our franchisees. And we have a lot of different committees where we are constantly brainstorming, constantly evolving different aspects of the business to then create new best practices, make some improvements wherever we need to make improvements. But ultimately what it does is it leads to some pretty innovative type opportunities that we go after and we embrace. For instance, we have a $4.5 million contract with the Veteran Affairs Administration here in the U.S. where we are tutoring men and women who are transitioning out of the military and into the workforce. The VA pays us to provide tutors for these men and women as part of a benefit of their transition. That's an opportunity that we didn't necessarily think was going to be on the docket for 2015, but a franchisee came across it. We embraced it. We said, hey, what do you need? We supported them, and boom, we landed a $4.5 million contract. And the Northwest is included in that contract, so it provides some nice top-down revenue opportunities for that. And so then I think I'll bring it home here on the last slide for everybody. This is just a quick picture of our Big Apple operating system. It's a proprietary system, and it's really the back office that automates and centralizes every aspect of the business and enables franchisees to really run it from home. So on that note, I'll pass it back over to you, Emily, and thank you for letting me jibber-jabber about Tutor Doctor.
Thank you, Drew, so much, and Alexis and Breanna. Okay, so now great. So now's the time we get to start answering questions. I see they're starting to roll in. Alexis, I have some of the questions for you. Okay. What do you look for in a franchisee?
That's a great question. Really, we look for somebody that just understands our environment. Many times when we have people come to Discovery Day and they walk into our stores, they just get a huge sense of just comfort and family, and that we're there to provide the best experience possible for both the parent and the child. If we don't have somebody that understands that environment, then that's not the type of person that we're looking for. So really, truly, we're looking for somebody a mom, basically, that understands the importance of having that type of environment. We also like people that are outgoing, willing to get in the community, tell people about their store, their salon, and just are willing to work with schools and organizations that also work with children.
Right, thank you. And another question, it's not directed toward any one of you, but Breanna, I know you're a little tight on time, so if you're available, I'm hoping you could respond first. It's basically about client acquisition. How do you get clients and customers? Breanna, are you able to share your experience with that first?
Oh, sure. So all of my clients are basically driven by referrals. So it's all referrals, and so how we get that is anybody that has that's working with seniors. So we really go into a lot of social workers at hospitals, at those rehabs, the nursing, the old nursing homes have been kind of replaced now by rehabs. So I go into the rehabs and really elder law attorneys. So I kind of a really large, anybody that works with seniors is kind of, there's a lot of different referral sources that you can get into, and then from there they let us know when there's a family that's no longer safe at home, and from there we help them during that transition time.
Got it. Thank you. Drew, do you want to go next as far as how do you get customers, how do you get clients in a Tutor Doctor?
Sure. So it's basically 50-50 between the internet. We're very good at internet marketing. It's about where 50% of the leads come from, through pay-per-click, organic SEO, reviews. There's a whole complex strategy I can get into on how we help franchisees get on the first page of Google and tap into parents who are searching for academic resources and tutoring for their kids. And we have a call center where all the leads get directed, who book the consultations for the franchisees, so they don't have to handle the inbound calls, which is really nice. The second piece of it, and probably the most important piece of it, is there's a community marketing strategy. So kind of what I think Breanna was thinking about earlier. This is a community-based business model where we want to be out and about educating parents about this idea of tutor matchmaking. So we attend local sporting events. We attend 5K races. We put together partnerships with frozen yogurt chains in the area that, because that's where families go, that's where kids are, and so there's a whole community marketing strategy that we help the franchisees implement, or if they have an employee, we'll help their employee implement that model.
Thank you. And Alexis, I think you addressed this indirectly quite a bit in your presentation. Is there anything else that you'd like to add as far as getting customers in cookie cutters?
Well, for us, it's really quite interesting. Ours is all about location. I mean, we're a storefront, and so we obviously want to put ourselves by the Target, by the movie theater, by a gym, by the grocery store. Our initiative is all about location. We're going to put you in a great location so you've got families walking by your store consistently. If they know where you are, they're going to come in and they're going to check you out. So ours is a little bit different where we don't have to do as much. We don't have to do as much in the sense of marketing because of the storefront and where we put our locations. And we've also found that moms are our best marketers, that it's really word of mouth. There's so many parents that are sharing their experience, whether it's good or bad, and we work very hard to have every experience be good, that they're sharing that with other people, and that's one of our successes within our marketing is giving a great experience so that the moms want to tell all their friends.
Thank you. And I'm going to do one more question here, and then we're going to start wrapping up. I want to be very respectful of everyone's time, and we're happy to provide contact information for any of you whose questions we didn't quite get to yet. Someone's asking about the typical investment, and Alexis, thank you for addressing that in your presentation. Do you want to repeat it for cookie cutters for anyone who may have missed it, the investment cost?
Sure. Yeah, you bet. We found pretty much across the board that you can get your store open for under $100,000. That's everything included, including the franchise fee. So absolutely everything at the beginning, franchise fee and then the entire build out. And then you'll need about $20,000 to $30,000 in working capital. This does include, in that working capital, it includes our marketing. We do have you spend anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 in the beginning for marketing. We have a very strong marketing plan that gets your face and name out to your clientele and your community right off the bat. And we have found that with our strong marketing that's one of the reasons why many of our stores are breaking even within the first 6 months. We've tested this in multiple cities and have found this to be incredibly accurate in the sense of the investment that you'll need for cookie cutters.
Thank you. Thank you. And Breanna, I don't want you to be put on the spot as a franchisee. Do you want me to speak on behalf of the investment for Oasis?
Sure thing. So it kind of ranges. It just depends on if you already have like an iPad and some of the technology kind of stuff. But I think it ranges, oh gosh, I don't want to misquote it either. I think it's $55,000 up to $75,000. But to be honest with you, I don't remember. So I think mine was somewhere around $70,000.
Yeah. My records indicate 60 to 80,000. So yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, that's right.
You're right on point.
There we go.
Thank you. And Drew, would you please tell us your typical investment?
Sure. So we're about $60,000 to get open for business, and then you'd need about another $10,000 to $15,000 in working capital, which is a pretty conservative number because we just don't have a lot of overhead. So there's not a lot of fixed expenses, and you're only paying tutors if you have clients, and we get paid up front. So actually, the cash flow model is kind of unique, and essentially, we have franchisees that cash flow the business in the first month. And like right now is a great time to be looking at Tutor Doctor because it's the end of the school year, and so the people that are opening Tutor Doctors and coming into the system now are going through training, and they're going to be opening in the face of back to school season come August and September. So we can have people up and operating in about 60 days, and so it's a great time of year right now because you're going to catch that back to school rush, which is our busiest time of year. It's a great time to open a Tutor Doctor.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up, but again, we will provide contact information for anyone whose questions did not get answered. I am going to turn my webcam back on, and it's not because I love to look at myself and think you do too. But I think after looking at slides for a while, sometimes it's nice to see a live person and know that we are real people in this business supporting people like you to explore this option for yourself. So as we're wrapping up, I'd like to introduce you to the FranNet team who works one-on-one with clients in the West Coast. I know on today's call we've got people from Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Southern California. These are the FranNet associates that are in your respective areas, and we'll be sending a follow-up email with their contact information. Also, they may be following up with you individually just to make sure that you've got your questions answered, see if you're interested in exploring any other options that you may not have heard about today, and also to see if you would like to access our online profile. Next steps, connect with your local consultant if you'd like to get more information. Complete the online profile. Your FranNet associate can give you the link. You can just do it online. It takes about 30 minutes. And then we'll see if it makes sense, if it makes sense for you to build a business model and start getting matched to businesses. A couple events coming up I'd like to fill you in on. Next week, we're hosting a webinar very similar to this, except we're going to feature specialty franchises that tend to be uniquely a good fit for husband and wife teams or spouses, any types of spouses. That is next week on the 1st at noon. And then for those of you that are considering taking the online profile, I personally will be hosting a webinar like this where we're going to unpack the PFA. The PFA is the Personal Franchise Assessment. It is an 11-page report that you will get. It's an easy read-through. You'll get a to do a deep dive and talk about your values, your core competencies, your work style, and how that translates into becoming a successful business owner. I'll be hosting that on June 9th. So 1 o'clock on the nose. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. Thank you to our presenters for your support. And moms, thank you for everything that you do in your families, in your communities, in local businesses, and please let us know how we could support you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks.